So what I'm doing now is I put a drill on the end of the valve so I can spin the valve. I put lapping compound on the back of the valve. Doesn't take gallons, but you put it on the back of the valve and then you slowly just spin it. And what I like to do is, so what I do is I put my finger in the middle, I pull on the back of the cylinder head with my thumb, and I just in and out, in and out, in and out with it spinning. Switch directions, in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm lapping the valve in. This stuff is gonna basically grind it to where they both have matching surfaces. You don't want to pull on the drill, because pulling on the drill you could damage the valve. So I'm just letting the drill spin the valve and basically sanding the seats together. It's lapping the valve and the seat together. So I think what happened is these were heads that were bought off the shelf and they never lapped the valves together, or somebody took them to a machine shop and had them grind the valves, but the machine shop never lapped the valves, or they bought new valves and put them in it and didn't realize you have to lap the valves together. This is very common, actually. Like if you buy heads off of Amazon or something, they usually come like this, and people throw them on. They're like, my car feels slower, and that's because their car is slower because their valves aren't sealing all the way. So always check your valves. Take your flashlight, shine around the outside edge of the valve, look inside the intake port or the exhaust port, depending on what valve you're doing. This is the intake valve, this is the exhaust valve. And see if you can see light inside the port. If you can see light in the port, then your valve is leaking. Another thing you can do that I don't like to do, you could fill the ports with water with the springs on them, and no water should leak through the ports. If it's leaking, then you have a leaking valve. If you do that though, you have to make sure after you're finished with that, pull your valves all the way out, take the head completely apart and dry it out. Use some compressed air and get it nice and dry. Make sure the seat's dry, lubricate everything and throw it back together. But that's why I don't like to do it that way, because you can't get all the moisture out of the aluminum. And one thing you definitely don't want is to get rust on this part of your valve, because then it's going to just slowly basically do what I'm doing right now to the valve. It's going to do that inside the guide, moving in and out, because that's what happens. Your valves move in and out a million times, so you get rust on there and those guides start eating up really quick. So just a little bit of words of wisdom, shit you could do at home that it takes a lot of time. People think this is an easy job. I got to do this to every single valve, and it takes a long time. So when you're like, it's just a cylinder head, it's not just a cylinder head. It's every single valve in the cylinder head. I have to take every single spring off the cylinder head, put every single spring back on, put the springs back on to make sure it's sealed. It's a process, but we're gonna get it done and it will be good to go. All right, you guys, like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff, ring the bell. Please add me. I'm trying to make this big, and I don't want to beg you, but please